just on insuring rental property one-on-one, just going over what the differences are and just helping people understand that there's actually even not just in real estate on cash flows and rates of return and using leverage and things, but there's also even a strategy within insurance on how to insure rental property to whether higher or lower deductibles, replacement costs. And I just wanted to educate people on how important this can be in just earning more profit on your rentals over the lifetime and knowing the areas of the town that you should be investing in or not investing in, but understanding there's actual strategy inside of reinsurance. So let's get this started. So most people don't think about this, but as you can see, the arrow of replacement cost and the sales price can be completely different most of the time. I mean, think about you're buying a piece of real estate maybe for $30,000, but the replacement cost of that could be much higher depending upon the location. So, I mean, for example, you have, we'll make sure this is working here. For an example here, think about like a big Victorian home like this picture here. You know, you could be finding this, maybe the person that owned it before had passed away and the son or daughter lives on the other side of the world and they don't have a reason for it, so they foreclose on it. So you purchase this property for $70,000. The insurance company really doesn't care so much about what the purchase price is. They need to know what is the cost of replacement. So they could be $300,000. So look at this. The insurance company, they don't care about appraisal value. They don't care about what the comps are in the area. That's not important to them. All they care about is replacement. What is the total cost to build? The labor, the 2x4s, and the nails in today's dollars. So, gosh, right now, I mean, who knows what the cost of replacement is going to be with just the cost of wood right now. So think about that. It's not so much the comps in the area, but what is the cost it's going to be to replace that property into exactly the same form that it was in before. So think about this when you're leveraging, when you're using a bank or the bank is financing your property. If you don't have 100% financing on this mortgage, the bank doesn't care as long as their mortgage or their note is covered. That's all that matters to them. The bank will always require their note to be insured. The bank is always trying to protect their collateral. As you can see, the bank wants their collateral protected. That's most important to them as long as they're never exposed. So here's where we can start to decide on the desirable areas versus maybe a not so much area on how we decide to insure these properties. So you can see here these lower end areas. Because like I said, let's say these properties are worth, you see, let me just read this. You take the money and run on these areas. Why? If the comps in that area are $50,000, but the replacement cost is $110,000, you take your cash, you go buy in a more desirable area. Or in a nicer neighborhood, you insure that property for at least 80%. At least. I would sometimes even go up to 100% depending upon, I guess, where your cash position is. But I like the nicer areas. I like to be fully insured. Because if I want to rebuild in that neighborhood, the market's going to bear it. Now, actually, we'll come out ahead. Let me show you guys here an example. Let's say on the west side of town, we have comparables over on that area for $30,000. And this is going to be the same size home. Let's call it a 3-2 on the west side and a 3-2 on the east side. You know, same square footage. Everything's the same. The east side of town, the comparables are $150,000. So the replacement cost of a home, and no matter what, no matter if you're on the west side or east side, is $110,000. This huge windstorm comes through and both houses are wiped away completely. So on the west side of town, if you've insured it up to 100%, you're taking the money and running, man. I mean, the insurance company's going to cut you a check for $110,000. Your investment was only $30,000 because of what the comparables are over there. So you just made $80,000 just by properly insuring that property. But on the east side of town, if you actually just took the money and run, the area is going for $150. You rebuilt it for $110. You're now in the hole for $150. Why not just rebuild the property on that area of town, and you spend $110, and now you've got a $150,000 home. You'd be making in equity $40,000. So here's the way that I would look at deductibles. I want to just give a shout out to Nick Pate. He's the one that's taught me how to do this and has taught me the ins and the outs of insurance. He's a State Farm rep in Kokomo, Indiana. He's been nothing but incredible for me in my career. But he's taught me all this. And so I'm basically regurgitating everything that Nick Pate has taught me. So he always would tell me, you're always wanting to carry higher deductibles, anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000. You don't want to sweat the small stuff. When a shingle flies off in a windstorm, the back door will fly off, which will happen. If you own enough of these units, over time it will happen. Pay some guy to go out there and take care of that stuff. You don't want to go out and file a claim and have to deal with a mumbo jumbo of State Farm or any other insurer over a couple $100. Do that yourself. Put that in your numbers when you're running your pro forma and you see where you're going to be. always have some money for the little things like that. You don't want to deal with the insurance company over tiny things and then happen to the next year your premium goes up. Like I said, these higher deductibles make premiums so much cheaper. So I don't mind taking those minor costs, because when there is a total loss, when a tornado comes through, which has happened, I want that insurance company to step up and write a big check. So here's basically the summary. You want to carry higher deductibles, don't sweat the small stuff. In the worse off areas, take the money and run. And in the better neighborhoods, you need at least 80% replacement. I would recommend 100%, because as you can see, the numbers make way more sense. But at the end of the day, replace at least 80% of where you're going to be.